Wow, a good crowd on a frosty morning. This is great. Good morning and welcome. My name's Jeff White, and I serve on your Fellowship Board of Directors. I want to thank everybody for being here and extend a special welcome to any visitors that we might have. If you'd like more information about the Fellowship, you can check with the desk in the fireside room, or you can sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org/guestbook. And whether you're joining us today from home or here in Fellowship Hall, we invite you to stay after the service for coffee fellowship, where you can introduce yourselves and join in conversation with kindred spirits. A couple of announcements. The annual AARLA Interfaith MLK service, it's a mouthful, will be here at the Fellowship on Sunday, January 19th at 2 p.m. And this year's service theme is A Network of Mutuality. Please plan to join us. At 11:15 today, you may join our service of silent witness in room 3. And this short and sacred service is a place to name milestones in our lives. So on behalf of this caring and nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thanks for joining us.
Let us gather in fellowship with The Day Unwritten by the Reverend Dr. David Breeden. Welcome to a new story. Welcome to a day unwritten. We gather to speak of possibility. We remember the losses. We celebrate the victories. We embrace the possible over than the probable, weaving a story of hope. Join us in the new story. Join us in the day unwritten. Join us in the future of possibility. Come, let us gather in fellowship. So please join with me in reading these words to light our chalice. In a world where hope is hard to find, we light this chalice, a sign of our shared commitment to love, generosity, courage, and compassion. May we be a beacon to each other and all our communities within and beyond these walls. Please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Some young ones up here. More. Does anybody else want to come up? Oh boy, more and more. Let's have a party up here on the blue carpet. Dance party? All right. Okay, so here's my question for you. Oh, look at you all lined up so neatly in a row. This is an excellent illustration of my story. Are you a neatnik? Or are you messy? Yes. Let's think about your room at home. Maybe you share a room with somebody else. Maybe you have a room by yourself. Maybe you've got plenty of space. Maybe you have not enough space. Your room is the messiest place on earth.
My parents agree.
Your parents agree. All right. I do not have the 5 tips to make Clara's room clean today. I don't have that. But that's what I want to ask about. I would say maybe today yours is not the messiest place on earth. Mine may be the messiest place on earth. So what about the rest of you? Do you like to keep things in order, really neat, very neat? How about neat or messy? Medium-sized. And do you like to have things put in their place, or is it things everywhere? Put in its place. Same? Yeah? When I moved out of my home when I left to go to college, my mother said, I never knew there was carpet in the whole room because my clothes were everywhere. Right? They were all on the carpet and you couldn't see the floor. She was joking, right? Here's the thing. When I go to bed at night now, I like to have things put away so that when I wake up in the morning, I can find what I want for the next day. Is that a new idea to you? You've never heard of that? You could try it. When we put our clothes away and put our toys away, then they're easier to find the next day. But also, here's the thing. Do you have toys that you've grown out of that you don't like to play with anymore that were like, no, you keep playing with them all the time? Maybe. Some things that were like fun to play with a few years ago or a few months ago and now maybe not so much?
I sometimes still like playing with old baby.
Sometimes we like to play with our old baby toys. Yes, sometimes we like to keep, because they remind us of a good time, or they
Fun and noisy to annoy my parents.
fun and noisy to annoy your parents. Well, Clara, we're not going to encourage that annoyance of your parents, but they're pretty good people too. So, but sometimes we grow out of our clothes, right? Our bodies change throughout our lives. And so sometimes, like, your pants are too short now, or you grow out of clothes, even if you really like them a lot, right? I loved wearing that shirt. Doesn't fit anymore, right? So sometimes we want to hang on to things because we have a good memory of them. And sometimes we're like, yep, pass it on to somebody else who can use it.
Yeah, if Morella ever grows out of clothes, she just gives them to me.
Okay, so we have some clothes trading around here. Yeah.
When my sister's clothes grow too small, they come to me.
When your sisters grow too little, they come to you. I think it's great when we can get extra wear out of clothes, right? I like to buy things that people have already had, so they've already got kind of a story in them, right? But here's the deal. When I want to start fresh on a new morning or a new project or a new, I don't know, some new thing that I'm going to do, it's helpful for me to take stock of the old stuff. What do I have that I could let go of? And what do I want to keep going forward? What was served me then, but may not serve me going forward? And the more that we can kind of hold things loosely, lightly, then the easier it is to let them go and make room for something new.
I'm probably going to keep the baby toys until I'm like 80 years old.
Well, some people do keep their baby toys until they're 80 years old, at which point they're worth a fair amount of money because they're truly vintage. But we can decide what stories we want to tell in our lives by the things that we hold on to. The point is, you have a choice to keep it or not keep it. And we have a choice of what kind of story we want to tell about our lives. Yeah. So somebody else was giving something away and you got it so you could have your toys more organized. That's a cool thing. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You can be messy or you can be neat. How many people here are messy at home? Fair number. Really, honestly. Yeah. Oh, some are nominating their spouses. She's not raising her own hand, she's nominating her spouse. How many are pretty neat, really need things neat? Semi, right. You know what? There's no one right or wrong way to do it. But it helps if we recognize that we have a choice about how we get to be in the world. So I think with that, we're going to sing you out to class. We're going to send you off, and you're going to be talking more about stories there. Thanks for spending a little time. And do you know what? I have left a prop in my office for my talk. So while everything else happens, I'm going down to my office to get one of my things because I wasn't organized enough to bring it up here. All right, let's all go.
so while she's away, let's party. No, seriously. We will now give and receive the offering for today. This morning, half of the non-pledge offering will be donated to Food at First. Food at First is a local organization that provides 7 free meals a week to anyone who is hungry. No questions asked. Their program takes thousands of pounds of unused food left over from retailers, uses what is needed for meals, and gives the remainder away to community members in need, keeping it out of our waste stream and providing much-needed assistance to our neighbors. The other half of the offering will support programs here in our fellowship that make this a place of community, spiritual growth, love, and justice. We'll pass the basket here in Fellowship Hall. Alternatively, you can go to uufames.org/give to make your contribution today. If you're visiting, please know that your presence here is gift enough.
This is a beta, you're going to be my beta audience for this song. I finished it just recently. The theme of this is just that the venue and people in which love occurs is everywhere. A little spark exists. If I were to rename this song, it's in alignment with my grandfather, who had multiple issues that eventually cost him a great deal, but it's a spark. So, Wisconsin, across Wisconsin, many years ago. Hey, Wisconsin, river town sometime after 4. The bars filled up with factory men when they got off the floor. You'd see greasy clothes and hands near signs, glasses full of foam. Some of them stayed way too late, climbing those. Mine was my grandpa, my only older friend. Friday nights were special, 'cause that's when special Friday nights. Love is where you find it, no matter where you are. Love is me in life in a Wisconsin corner bar. Love for me in life in a Wisconsin corner bar.
Love is where you find it. Love is in this place. And we take a few moments each week to recognize how our lives are connected one to another, how love flows in and out and among us. We know that our joys are multiplied and our burdens lifted as we share them with each other. It's what it is to be in community together, to be vulnerable with hearts open for all that comes our way. We have a couple of announcements to make this morning. Our member Carol Crosby wrote this lovely remembrance. Carol says, "When I returned to Iowa from Ohio 7 years ago, I fell in love with my place on Beaver Creek. The outside was perfect, but the inside was a disaster. Luckily, I found a builder who helped me transform my little brown house. Javier Hernandez did everything from installing windows and walls to gently escorting out errant snakes. A few days before Christmas, Javier and his mother were killed in a traffic accident. He leaves behind a wife, 3 young daughters, and a community who will miss him very much. Carol, we know that your home will serve as a memorial for Javier. Our thoughts are with you as you navigate this loss." And this sad news today, longtime member of the fellowship, Roger Berger, died yesterday at the age of 89. He suffered a fall several days ago. He had a miraculous, positive turnaround, and he was committed to his recovery. But yesterday morning, he took a turn for the worse, and he died at 4:15 p.m. yesterday afternoon with his beloved wife, Kay, and their son, Randy, by his side. We will, of course, let you know about plans for a memorial service when we have more details. Kay, Randy, Angie, Allie, and all your extended family, and all in this fellowship and all in the community of Ames and at ISU who loved and admired and found comfort in Roger's radio programs at KHOI. All of us, we hold you in our thoughts and prayers. He lived a good, long life. May his memory be for a blessing. Let's create a time of spaciousness here among us and I invite us to name into our shared silence any joys or sorrows that we are holding in our hearts. We can hold them all here. Pam Allen Thompson. For all these names, spoken and unspoken, for all the love that expands the boundaries of our hearts, let us sing in response. In her book, A Cure for Dreams, Kay Gibbons writes, "Tell me the years that have made your life. Tell me the years that have made your life." To move one's home is to live in the disruption of 1,000 stories. At least that's how it seemed for me this week. They packed us up in Minneapolis on Thursday and came in and moved everything out on Friday, and yesterday they unloaded it here in Ames. They packed everything. They packed a garbage can that still had garbage in it. They packed the sink stopper that should live there, right? They packed everything. Though they were great, those young men, and they were so strong and they got it all done. But to move is to disrupt your stories, right? The things that we keep in our homes may be either utilitarian or history-laden. For example, we have several hammers at our house. If I had a hammer, I got 5 more. Many of them belonged to Mike's dad, of blessed memory. And so what do we do with those? How do we jettison them, right? And why do I keep this funny curved stick? Looks like a walking stick, but it's not. It's too tall to be a walking stick. This has been living in my basement for a number of years undisturbed. But now the story of it is moving. Well, this is not a walking stick, but it's for moving cattle along at the sale barn, right? You could poke through you could move the cattle along. If you were my grandfather and the cattle were coming through the chute and he was at the sale barn selling his cattle, he could poke them along. It's a cow poke. Says Texas Farm Bureau on it. I'm sure that Big Daddy, my grandfather, Big Daddy, got it at a Farm Bureau convention. He loved to go to the Farm Bureau conventions, and I'm sure that was a giveaway. And now it is in my hands, not because I need to poke the cows, but because it is one of the few things that I can hold in my hand that he held in his hand. It is this touchstone, and a sweet one to have. It was tucked away in the corner of a dusty basement, and now it's here in this fellowship hall, and it is joining all the other stories that we share. My Big Daddy, Ellis Cannon from Lamar County, Texas, is joined now with your stories from wherever you are from. Our stories join together in one, from little rivulets into one great stream. To move one's home is to disrupt 1,000 stories. To start a new calendar year is to disrupt stories and memories, to take stock of stories, of gratitudes, of grievances, and figure out who will we be, how will we be in a new arrangement, especially on this cusp of 2025. I see you shake your heads, 2025, right? The things that are coming toward us, it may be a weapon after all. You may know that the Jewish community, some 14 million people worldwide, celebrate the new year in the fall with the High Holy Days. The High Holy Days begin with Rosh Hashanah, the new year, and culminate at Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And these 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in the autumn of the year are a time of seeking reconciliation with those we may have wronged, with making peace with individuals and community, remembering people who have died in the past year, and attuning oneself to humility and a more spiritual life. Yom, day, Kippur, atonement. is considered the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, the culmination of all this introspection that began at Rosh Hashanah. And so I find it compelling at the new year of our, what are we, the Gregorian calendar? Am I right about the Gregorian calendar? Not the Julian. We don't do that, right? But at the beginning of our new year of 2025, to set aside a time to reach deeply into this personal work. It's the spiritual equivalent of a New Year's resolution, right? It's not resolving to do so much differently as taking stock of what we have done and imagining how we move forward in our lives, as the rest of the community does it as well, and wonder, who will we be collectively? What will our stories be like collectively? The English word atone is actually two words, at one, at-one-ment. We are looking to be at one. To atone is to be at one, in harmony with those I have wronged. When I humble myself in order to make it right, make whatever it is I need to make right, I try to be at one with another person. If I have wronged you, if I have said, well, you just didn't get that reading that I sent you, I didn't send it, right? You just didn't get what's wrong with you, right? That doesn't create relationship, right? It creates a barrier. If I am at one with you, I can say, oh, sorry, I was really late sending it. What help do you need from me to be ready then? What do I need to be ready the next time, right? So we're trying to be at one with another person. In the sense of religious naturalism, to be a part of nature, I am at one with all of nature. All of the universe is woven of the fabric of star stuff. When I act in ways that are out of nature, out of balance with nature, my own or the nature of a healthy relationship, there is an absence of harmony, discord. There's a discord. And for me, it is deeply spiritual, personal work to make it right. I think that's why social justice work touches my spirit so deeply. At its core, social justice work is at one-ment, to be at one with those who are oppressed, with the marginalized, and to bring them to the center. I would say for many of us, we live pretty close to the center, even if our political views may be, I'm going left here. It looks right to you, but I'm going left. But we live in fairly comfortable ways. To be at one with people who are on the margins and try to bring them to the center is the work of social justice and the work of at one-ment. And so who are we seeking to be reconciled with? I mean, we're all one human family. This is so, and each of us has worth and dignity, but we're not all treated as if we have the same worth and dignity. We know that in our human family, difficult change is coming for a lot of people. People who are afraid in their homes and their neighborhoods, people who are trans, LGBTQIA+, who fear for their safety on the street, people who are undocumented immigrants, fear for their safety. And if the incoming administration does what it says it will do, we will have to ask ourselves, who are we in the moment? How do we bring people from the margins into the center? How do we get to atonement with people who are in harm's way right now just because of their identities? It's a spiritual dilemma, and I don't know how to solve it. But I do know that with these big questions that seem impossible to resolve have been some of the biggest tests of my spiritual commitment to my Unitarian Universalism, to my humanism in my life. We want better, we believe better, we want the world to be different than it is, and our wanting it is not enough. And so do we just throw up our hands and watch? Or do we say, we are part of a resistance no matter what, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we may never win justice, to do it because we cannot not do it. The work of at-one-ment, to be at one with humanity that is in difficult straits, is some of the hardest work we can do. And we don't do it just because we're going to win it. We do it because we can't not do it. We do it because our values call us forward to do it. In conversations with you, I know that this is weighing heavy on you. Many of you I've spoken to have named a deep existential dread and kind of a deep crisis of faith. And the only way that I know to be present for such things is to be present with my spiritual practices. And I'll tell you about mine and you tell me about yours, even if you don't call them that. But our spiritual practices of talking to each other, building community, attending to our breath, turning off the news, engaging in specific justice activities, making art or music, walking, biking, gardening, cooking, reading, attending to the relationships with whom I love, decluttering my house, getting rid of the crap so that I can be more present to the life within. What is significant about our practices is that they return us to ourselves, to our center, so that we can do the work of personal transformation and communal transformation and justice and being in right relations. The work of justice is the work of love, and love is where you find it. And this day of atonement, well, if we call the new year a day of atonement, calls us that no matter what divides us, we can always, always begin again in love. No matter what we've done in the past, we can always begin again in love. Elandria Williams, a Unitarian Universalist leader of blessed memory, wrote this about a project called Beautiful Solutions. She said, "Resistance is essential, but it is not enough. As we fight the injustice around us, we also have to imagine and create the world we want. We have to build real alternatives in the here and now, alternatives that are not only living proof that things can be done differently, but that actively challenge and eventually supplant the power of the status quo." Beloveds, I tell you, we are doing that. We are building a different reality here in this place, where everyone is welcome, where no one's status as documented or undocumented is ever checked at the door, where each one of us and everyone who walks in the building, we recognize the inherent worth and dignity exactly as you are today. We are building and living into that different world. It is no small thing. And we dare not keep it just to ourselves. Part of that generosity we talk about is being generous, being liberal with our love, within and beyond the walls. To build a new way, to build a house that's exactly like we want it. Usher out the snakes. To build a life and live it fully as I was with Roger and Kay and Randy yesterday, as Roger was attending to his dying, and his family was with him attending to that passage. It was such a loveliness of a fulfilled, fully lived life. Those are the stories, a life full of stories. And you will continue to tell Roger's story. You will all who knew him continue to tell Roger's story in the days and years to come of what is possible in a life well lived. That story is disrupted now. Roger's life and his death has disrupted his story in a way that we can tell it in a new way, right? And so to be at one with life, its beginning and its ending, is to tell a story in a new way. I want to say that my Big Daddy's cowpoke has the relevance now that I give it. We are not cattle to be pushed along, but maybe we can each use a prod now and then to take stock, repent, repair, renew, and be reminded that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We're going to sing, I will speak, and we are all going to sing a litany of atonement now. And this was written by Minister Rob Eller Isaacs, also of blessed memory. And he wrote it for Yom Kippur, but I think it's so important to sing and read around the new year. And we'll sing the refrain several times. We're going to practice it first, and the words will come up here. What I'm hopeful of is that you can let yourself drop in to this refrain coming up over and over again. It's more a prayer than a performance. Just let ourselves drop into it. And if you feel the tune for it, sing along. And if not, let it carry you. Feel yourself comfortable with this. I would love for this to be an earworm for us later in the day and in the week. Can we practice these words? We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Let's do it again. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin the selfishness which sets us apart and alone. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For these and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. This is atonement, to build a world in which we can be in harmony, to tell stories in a new way, to begin again each day in love, a fierce, unwavering love for justice, for fairness, for this beloved community, for our country, for democracy, for each other, for ourselves. May our love be for a blessing, and may it be for a revolution. Blessed be, and may it be so. We'll sing again, number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, in the Teal Songbook, and the lyrics will come up here. Please stand as you are able.
Please join with me in reading these words as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace.
but not
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
No, a few more words. I want to say some gratitude today to Ben Moline and Sarah Carlson, our facilitators, Dan Haug and Melissa Neeson, our tech team. Reggie Greenlaw, thank you for your special music today, and Peggy Earnshaw as our accompanist, thank you so much. To the greeters, the coffee servers, the treat bringers, the cleanup crew, it takes many of us to bring Sunday morning together, all of the religious education staff and volunteers who put it together. Thank you so much, and to you for coming to create fellowship here. We invite you, of course, for some coffee and treats after, and then at 11:15, our service of silent witness. These are the words of the Reverend Vanessa Southern, naming the largest truths. May the stories we tell name the largest truths of what was, of what is, and what pulls us forward to what should be, as stories were always meant to do. Blessed be, go in peace. And Peggy, play us out.